Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 4-Star Podcast. I am your host, Jordan DuPont, joined with my co-hosts, Nick Nicola, Teige Mullen, and Andrew Freeman. Want to preface this episode by saying we kind of had something cool happen. Apparently, YouTube search results are an interesting thing. As you may have seen if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, we've been posting clips every day, just little highlight videos from the previous week's show. And we had Teige do a little mini rant about what would happen if Shohei Ohtani came to the Cubs. He did a simulation with MLB The Show. If you haven't watched the video, check it out. It's pretty funny. But apparently, if you search Shohei Ohtani from Japan or Taiwan, because we had people translate the closed captions into those languages, Teige's video wound up getting 250 views, which really cool. So if you are returning from that, thank you. We appreciate it. It's kind of cool.
All about that global reach. For
all about the global reach.
Local Chicago podcast. But
it's all downhill from here.
Also want to do a quick shout out to our very own Nick. He has spent a couple of weeks now designing a website for us. We're going to have blog posts going up there. All of our videos are going to be linked to there. A little bit of background on us if you'd like it.
Podcast links as well. Anywhere. I think we're on like 8 different streaming platforms, so you can just pick whichever one you listen to and go from there. But yeah, feel free to check it out.
And that website is 4starpodchi, CHI, just like our Twitter handle.com. So with those fun things out of the way, let's dig into the Cubs. Wah, wah. So we're going to kind of change up the formatting a little bit. We realize we've been just kind of bouncing back and forth between the series, so we're no longer going to stick to trying to focus on the first series and then the second series. I'm just going to run through the results, and then we're going to dig in. So against the Mets, we had our first series win in over 2 weeks. We won the first game 7-2, second game 4-2, lost the series finale 10-1. That was a rough one. Against the Reds, we got swept at home against the Reds. It's the Reds. Anyway, lost the first game 9-0, lost the second game 8-5, and then lost the third game 8-5. So I guess we can start with some good. Marcus Stroman has been on fire lately. His matchup against the Mets was awesome. Pissed off an anonymous Mets player for celebrating. So that was good. If anybody wants to start digging in, give some thoughts.
Stroman was great. He pitched a complete game today. He's been good. Drew Smyly against the Mets, he had a pretty good start. He's been having a good year so far. Hendricks in his first start back, he did allow 5 earned runs, but he was getting soft contact. Like he had a little bit of bad batted ball luck. If he can give you 5 innings, keep the team in the game, not get blown up, that's good. That's about all I have. That's good. So if anyone else has anything that's good, let's jump in and then we can get to the fun part.
Yeah, I got nothing good.
I'll piggyback off the Kyle Hendricks because again the stat line for him doesn't appear great. And admittedly, I had to ask the guys. I was listening to the first chunk of the game on the radio, so I couldn't see anything. I was just hearing Pat Hughes' amazing voice tell me the story of the game. But from what I gathered, like Nick mentioned, it was a lot of soft contact. It was a Kyle Hendricks pitching performance, like a normal Kyle Hendricks performance. It's just the stuff that did get put in play found holes. It was just one of those fluky baseball things where he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, exactly what he's done his entire career. It's just the balls found places to fall that wound up letting guys get on base. So,
yeah, and I think especially watching that game and watching it in TV, George Girardi, whenever he comes on, he made a good point. It was just kind of like, it seemed like in that inning he got blown up. Kyle kind of went to his changeup as his comfort pitch, and like all the hitters, like you could just see even in the replays, the hitters did their quiet steps, right? So instead of taking a big front step and really trying to swing the bat with power, they just took a little like toe tap, sitting on that changeup, ready for it to come in, and just put it in a hole, right? And that's kind of, you live and die by your defense when you're a ground ball pitcher. So I don't know. I think Kyle pitches tomorrow, doesn't he?
Yep.
So let's see how he's looking tomorrow. he said he felt good when he did the bullpens. In AAA, he looked good, right? Obviously, it's AAA, of course. But I think if you're a Cubs fan and you're expecting to get 2016 Kyle, you need to not. Because
he doesn't need to be 2016 Kyle, though. He just needs to be a solid, number 5 starter. Get you reliably 5 innings, 3-4 runs. You'll take that. It's at that point, it's on the offense, which, Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's his first start, right? So you don't want to draw
against the Mets.
Yeah, and you don't want to draw any big conclusions from it. Like, he's got to find his rhythm. He's got to get back into, the routine of playing an entire 162 game season. I mean, obviously pitchers aren't playing all 162, but yeah, he's just got.
He also missed the first couple months, so it's a lot less than 160.
Yeah.
Right, way less. So he's just got to get back into the rhythm of things. That's really all you can say at this point for him.
I do want to give some credit as well to Jamison Tyone. I don't have all the stats in front of me, but I remember he was pitching more solid than he has all season through 5 2/3 innings. Or was it 4 2/3?
It was 4 2/3. He gave up 4 runs and his ERA still went down. That's how high his ERA has been. So I give him no points. I mean, God,
okay. So I do want to point out though, I think at least one of those runs was after, was it Assad? David Ross pulled him with runners on the corners and 2 outs. I'm watching this thinking, just leave the guy in, give him a chance to get out of the inning before you go to the bullpen. And 1 or 2 pitches into the reliever coming in, it gives up a 2-run home run. So to me, you got to give the guy a chance. I mean, once again,
chance was before he let the runner get to third. Look, man, I don't know. Sorry, it's just the whole argument. Whenever I see that, that's such an old head argument. Let the pitcher work his way out of it. Not Tyone.
Well, to me, it's like the guy is finally having a halfway decent start for the first time this season. You could tell he wanted to stay in and work himself out of it. He had overall been pitching fairly well. I get that you're letting a guy get to third base, but I don't think – I mean, who knows what happens, but the optics of pulling him, having a reliever come in and immediately give up a 2-run shot. I mean, I've been trying to hold back and give David Ross some benefit of the doubt while I know you guys have mentioned questioning some of the lineup calls and everything. I was trying to hold off on it, but it's time. I saw an article published about a week ago, I think from Bleacher Nation, just a little blog post they did with an article linked in there saying that David Ross's seat is about as cold as the 9th circle of hell right now. It should be turned up to 11. I mean, it's like you guys have been mentioning, the lineups are questionable. Was it Talkman or Mastrobuoni that led off yesterday?
It was Mastrobuoni.
Mastrobuoni was led off the past couple days.
Why?
Yeah.
He led off today, yeah.
Why?
Mastrobuoni with the tied for the worst WRC plus on the team.
And that's your guy hitting leadoff. And I get that he's got speed, and that's something you want in a leadoff hitter. But
you know who else has speed? Nico. Nico has speed.
Yeah, I would rather have a guy that can actually freaking get on base with an opportunity to steal a base than a guy that can't get on base to save his life.
It's the old Moneyball cliche. Can he get on base?
Exactly. I mean, it has
Nico
to start
can.
there.
Comes down
Nico
to
has shown that he can get on base.
It comes down to that. I saw an interesting thing on Twitter about this is for today's game, but Evan Altman on Twitter tweeted something interesting out there. So for their lineup today, they had it where right-handed batters. I'll just say the tweet right here. Right-handed batters are hitting .304 with a .917 OPS, and all 4 of the homers Teige Bradley has allowed so far. The Cubs have 3 righties in the lineup. So that's for today's game. So if we're going to be talking about David Ross's lineup decisions here, like it's one piece of it, but when things start to stack up like that over and over and over, then
and that's the thing. It's not a one-time thing. No. This has been a constant theme of questionable just batting lineup decisions, questionable moves with the bullpen, just questionable moves. I mean, every single time he does anything, it seems like at least half of the population is going, why is he doing that? And the fact that there is front office has come out and said, like, oh no, we love what David's doing. He's doing great. We want to keep him. Look, if this doesn't turn around quick, you better turn up the heat, because I do not want to sit around and watch how this year turns out if this is how it's going to be.
I will do you one better. I think Jed should be on the hot seat at this point. We're in year 3 of this rebuild right now, and this is the year, like farm system is up and coming, sure, but this is the year we should start to see it on the field. And we thought we were seeing it earlier in the season, but like yesterday, they had the worst record in baseball. Today, they're a half game up on the Cardinals.
Yes.
At this point. We're not seeing the results on the field. And yes, David Ross has had a lot of questionable decisions. I think it's a fair question, if he's the right manager for this team. But you look at the personnel he's been given. I mean, yeah, we got Dansby, we got Bellinger. They were good signings. Everybody else, guys that were on the opening day roster, Torrens was shipped out right away. Hosmer's gone. Madrigal's down in AAA. Tucker Barnhart, Miles Mastrobuoni. These are not guys that are going. If these guys are key contributors on your team, you're not going to be a winning team. The bullpen, the past few years, it seems like the Cubs have been able to patch together a bullpen. They've been good at developing arms, and that hasn't happened this year. And a lot of people have been questioning, hey, maybe they should have, invested in the bullpen earlier. That goes all the way back to the front office. So yeah, I think turn up the heat on Ross's seat, turn up the heat on Jed's seat, because we should be seeing results that are not happening.
Yeah, the fact that, so quick correction, you said we had the worst record in baseball. I caught it after you said it. We had the worst record in the National League. That still very much belongs to the Oakland A's.
The Oakland AAAs. I assume they're in AAA. They're not even in my mind.
They're not real baseball.
3 AL teams that are worse than the Cardinals and the Cubs right now. Gotcha. I couldn't agree with you more.
Sorry, just to kind of I guess play devil's advocate for Ross in the sense is like how we mentioned Jed should be on the hot seat, because when I saw the signs we made this year. Now this is one thing. Okay, first of all, Cubs Twitter, stop telling them to trade everybody. That's not happening. We have a very good core. The core is here, but that's the thing is when I saw the signings for this year, I was like, oh, Jed doesn't want to win this year. He wants to win. He wants to maybe start next year. Maybe we'll.
That was my initial impression.
Right.
This is 2014.
Yeah, it really is. So it's tough because I think people that are freaking out and pushing the panic button, it's I think this season's kind of, even though the NL Central sucks and we should just be competitive, but when I saw the signings he made, I didn't really think he's taking it seriously.
But that's
so
the
it's
thing.
I agree. So to kind of play some devil's advocate to Ross is now the Mastrobuoni thing is insane.
Oh, that's
and
indefensible.
The lefties, and the lefties thing, I do get so he made a quote on he didn't trust the reverse splits on how Bradley has been getting hit by righties, because in the minors Bradley got hit more by lefties. Okay, fine, I get what you're saying. Fine, but and the Mastrobuoni thing is still inexcusable. But
I don't trust Miles Mastrobuoni to hit off anybody. I don't care what your analytics are telling you.
Right, and then but then also it's when Ross has those assets up in the majors, right, and nobody's calling these people up or sending people down. It's well, now I have to make do with what I got, and apparently Jed Hoyer wants to keep Mastrobuoni up, so now Ross is going to be oh, okay, well, this guy pitches worse against lefties, so I guess here you go, Miles. Still think it's inexcusable that Christopher Morel isn't playing today.
But that gets back to the front office with the personnel that's put in front of Ross. Maybe he's not making the most optimal lineup choices. Maybe he's not making the best decisions with what he has in front of him. But what he has in front of him is not a winning baseball team. You cannot. Yeah. Somebody take over. I'm having a mental.
And I wonder, whether. I guess you call it fan backlash, and we're probably guilty of it too, has been the fact that they got off to the start that they did.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that probably has something to do with it, and that might have raised expectations. We all felt guilty of it too, or I don't want to speak for all of you guys, I guess, but
you're not wrong.
Our basic vibes with this podcast the first few weeks has been that, we've been pretty positive about this Cubs team and talking about them. When our first couple episodes, we were talking about them being buyers at the trade deadline. Now it's well, they're probably not going to be in that situation where they're going to be buying.
I think what's most frustrating about it is that, basically, if you went back in time before this season and you talked about what would have had to happen for the Cubs to be contender this season, or to at least make some noise this season. A lot of that has happened. Dansby's been playing great. The starting pitching as a whole has been pretty good for the most part. You're getting great performances from Stroman, Steele. Smiley has been great. The top of the lineup, the guys that you expect, your core, they're hitting, they're playing well. And the NL Central just absolutely sucks. Like, the Cubs are the second worst record in the NL, and they're 5 games back. Like, so, the things that need to be happening for the Cubs to be contenders are happening. And if they had made like different investments, maybe better investments, maybe not signing Eric Hosmer, maybe putting Christopher Morel on the roster to start the year, whatever else. We've been over this over and over again, but maybe that flips, that whole stretch where they were losing all those close games, all those one-run games. Maybe a few of those flip and this team is looking a lot better. That's the problem when you're banking losses instead of wins in those close games, because now like the bottom falls out, the pitching starts to regress, and it's just a disaster and everything's on fire.
Well,
so,
and I almost feel like Jed's sending mixed messages on what his intentions for the team are, because he has done a few positive things that we've been talking about for a while to put us in better situations to win baseball games. Like we mentioned, DFA'd Hosmer. I mean, you can't get more clear than, hey, you're not performing, you're out, instead of keeping the guy on the roster to mentor Mervis. Sent Nick Madrigal down to AAA. Sent Hayden Wesneski down to AAA to work on his stuff a little bit so that he's ready later in the season. Those are all moves that you make if you want to win more baseball games. But then again, bringing up, Edwin Rios, bringing up Miles Mastrobuoni, those are moves that are going to not get you to win baseball games. And I definitely understand the point of having David Ross work with what he's given. Again, personally, putting Mastrobuoni at the number 1 spot instead of the number 9 spot doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right. But you need to make up your mind. I can live with it if you're going to write the season off, but don't bullshit us into thinking that we're going to compete, because that's
I don't even think that's part of the thing
on.
too, is like, it's like you say, like, I can live with it if you decide to write it off, but it's like, why write it off? That's another thing I think gets it's like, because your team is doing so well offensively, WRC, like analytic wise, even though like the risk was horrific for a few weeks. And the pitching, whatever metric you want to use to kind of drive the narrative, that the pitching has been pretty good, because it has, especially the starting pitching. So yeah, so then it does turn. It's like, well, why are we shooting ourselves in the foot here? Because there's really no need to write it off, because it's pretty competitive. And sure, maybe we don't get that much noise this year. Maybe we miss a wild card, whatever. But like, I want teams to be like, oh yeah, no, these guys are ready to play, And I want the fan base to be like, we're ready to play, we're ready to go. And now it's just kind of like we're stuck in no man's land again for yet another year.
I just looked it up. We still have a +4 run differential. Like, the statistics do not freaking make sense. Yeah. I mean, we need a better bullpen. The bullpen, I can kind of give Ross a little bit of slack with the bullpen, because we don't have one. You might as well throw a chimpanzee out on the mound and see how that goes at this point, because the bullpen has lost us 4 or 5 games in the last week.
Stop throwing Fulmer out there. That's another useful thing. I don't know why he's.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Fulmer, but he just does not have it.
No, half of the bullpen doesn't have it. Who would you put in as a closer right now?
Alzolay.
Yeah,
who would you put in as a setup man in the 7th or the 8th inning before Alzolay?
Honestly, I don't even know who we have in the bullpen.
Exactly.
Has Merriweather been doing decent? Or Nick Birdie, but he just had an appendectomy. He had like one good appearance where he was throwing 100, and then his appendix was like, "Hey, I want out."
So Alzolay has been the most stable presence in that bullpen, and admittedly, I forgot about him. Shame on me. But everybody else has been so up and down. You don't have anyone you can go to confidently. You throw somebody out there like, "Oh boy, cross your fingers. Let's hope this one works this time." It's like, I don't understand it. It circles back to trading away Craig Kimbrell. I mean, we had arguably the best closer in the last 50 years. Okay, that's an example.
Yeah, but
the best closer in the last 20 years.
That was an okay trade, though. Even though I think both teams lost it, but
but we haven't had anybody since.
That's true.
Kimbrell hasn't been the same guy for a while, especially at the Cubs. He wasn't that same guy.
Well, he
turned into
started
it.
getting
That's
it
why we
back.
traded him. Yeah.
He was lights out the first half of that season, and then he went to the White Sox, got put in the setup role, and couldn't get it back.
Gotta love LaRusso.
But I think big picture, I think that was a fine move for where the Cubs were at.
Yeah.
But also, like, sticking with big picture, like, we talk about all these issues every single week about, the bullpen isn't what it needs to be, the bats aren't what it needs to be. At some point, though, these are the issues with the team. These are just the natural flaws that the roster has right now, and they're probably not going to be fixed in season, at least from any additions or anything like that. Like, this is just the reality of the situation the Cubs are in. So, big picture, they have to start looking at where this team is at. And I mean, I don't want to get too ahead to like offseason stuff like that, but we know where.
Oh, hey, Chad.
We have already proven scientifically with technology that is
the views on this show will go through the roof.
Well,
God.
When we get to the offseason, I know Teige. We might as well just put Teige in the GM role in that.
I got plans, man.
He's got it all ready to go.
Start dusting off your application.
Yeah.
Realistically, we have a month and a half before the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So we have.
I mean, it would be silly for them to be buyers if it's
at this rate.
No, they shouldn't.
At this rate,
They shouldn't,
unless something drastically changes in the next 2 weeks and we wind up, a game out of first in the division, not the wild card, the division.
Yeah. I don't even think that
we can get there. We can get there so easily.
Yeah, that's the thing. We can't. That's a low bar.
Real quick, they're only 5 games behind the division. Like, they're not that
right.
Not that far back. But here's the thing. Like, even if they're in that situation, because this team clearly it's deeply flawed, and it doesn't have that World Series upside that you're looking for. So I just don't think buying at this point is probably the right move for them. They just kind of have to let it play out and see how it goes over the course of a long season. That's really all they can do at this point.
I'm with you, Andrew, especially because it's like I said, Cubs Twitter, calm down. We're not trading these guys because the core is solid, man. Like, especially as long as Morrell stays solid. Like you got Nico Dansby, and then Seiya,
Nico
Ian, Morrell, potentially Bellinger, we'll see. But that right there is 5-6. Mervis is getting his legs under him. Amaya will get called up, I expect, next year at least, with Gomes working behind the dish. I mean, who else you got?
Steele, they're working on an extension with Stroman. Hopefully that gets done.
Yeah, and then all you back in AAA.
And then all you really need at that point is a guy who can fill a DH role. Now I know, Jed, of a guy who can fill the DH role, and I think you should go and get him.
Circling back, I really like doing this every week. It kind of lightens the mood a little bit. Teige, would you mind pulling up your catcher tracker?
Yeah. Gomes had a rough one. Gomes has had kind of a rough one. Right now, Gomes is at 17-11. Barnhart after today, because he got the win today, was 6-15, and then Amaya is still 1-3. So,
Tucker Barnhart is hitting worse than John Lester was.
Yes,
I love that. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah,
I got the tweet. This is it's Corey Friedman on Twitter as of May 26th. Tucker Barnhart's 2023. Batting 179. John Lester 2019 batted 188. John Lester had a WRC plus of 46. Tucker Barnhart 44. So I mean, there are other stats here, but you get the point.
And again, to hammer home what WRC plus means for those of you that might not be as into baseball statistics, you said Barnhart's was a 44.
44.
WRC
Yep.
plus?
100 is average.
That means he is hitting 56% worse than a league average hitter. He can't call games behind the plate, clearly, because Gomes is still doing so much better in the win-loss department.
I was against the universal DH rule. I like having pitchers bat, and apparently the Cubs like having pitchers production, like at least one lineup spot where you have the production of a pitcher. So,
well, and that calls into question too. Again, Mastroboni's not hitting very well. You got Barnhart not hitting very well. You're filling up 3-ish roster spots a game with guys that can't freaking hit a baseball. In the era where we have a designated hitter in the National League, it is so just infinitely frustrating right now to watch and try and wrap your head around what they are trying to accomplish right now.
Yeah.
I'll take that as I got a little too fired up.
I think
No, I thought Teige was going to say something. I saw him on
at this rate, I don't know. It's just at this rate, it's like,
yeah.
What
are
else
you gonna do?
Say? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as long as they keep on this course, we'll make a little trade deadline episode for y'all. At this rate, it's like these are our Cubs this year, and it's unfortunate because the pieces, man, are there, and you just gotta wrap it up into a nice little bow. Yeah. And who knows? I don't know if Ross lasts this year or next. We'll see.
Yeah, right now it's trending towards our trade deadline episode being about who should the Cubs trade. But at this point, it's like Teige has mentioned many times, like they got the core, they got young guys, they got guys that you want to build around long term.
I swear to God, if we move PCA at the deadline,
we're not moving. We're not moving PCA. We're not moving PCA.
He is so untouchable.
I'm just saying.
I don't even know who the only thing that would be trading for Shohei with the expectation that you're signing him for life. That's the only thing you're willing to move him for.
No, it seems pretty straightforward. It's Bellinger probably goes if their Cubs are selling at the deadline.
If he's even healthy.
If he's even healthy.
If he's even
healthy, if he's even hitting, you just sell him for whatever you can get. I think
that's
basically it. I mean, you can't get anything for Fulmer. You're not going to be able to get anything for Boxberger probably.
You'll get some dimes for Mancini maybe.
Yeah, they can get anything
at this rate.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So.
Cody Hoyer.
We're sellers that don't have anything to sell.
Right, and that's kind of what Andrew, coming back to the Andrew's point before we move on to the Blackhawks, is like, it's kind of like at this rate, Jed has to just kind of see what happens this season and then go from there because there's nothing else to do.
You're kind of stuck. It is what it is at this point.
Chicago! Chicago's forwards.
Love it.
So gonna pull on my phone real quick to do the schedule preview for this week. I know we won our first game today against Seattle?
Tampa.
The Rays.
Tampa, my bad.
And then we play Padres.
Wrong blue American League team. So we have a series against Tampa Bay, best team in baseball. We did win the first game because Marcus Stroman had a 1-hit, 2-walk shutout complete game.
He saw Mastroboni was leading off, and he was like, "Oh man, I got to do this myself."
Yeah. Quick update on Stroman's stats. I put it in the group chat before we started recording today. Leads the entire the entire Major League Baseball with 10 quality starts this year. He is tied for the lead in ERA in the National League. I think he's like 6th or 7th overall. The American League is having a great pitching year. And has the lead in WHIP, so walks and hits per innings pitched for the National League. So Stroman's having a great year. Steele had the one bad start. I'm sure baseball fluky. I'm not worried about it. Smiley's still doing good. Hendricks is back. And Taillon will be Taillon. So anyway, 3-game set against the Rays, and then we have another set against the Padres this week. 2 tough opponents, and we'll see how it goes.
And I'll be sitting like a little bit away from Fernando Tatis Jr. on Friday, so I'll be in down Petco, and that's
nice.
Fun.
Did you see him trolling Yankees fans?
I did, yeah.
Dude, so good.
They still lost the series, though, so the Padres are struggling too.
So for those that didn't see the clips, Fernando Tatis Jr. came back from a PED suspension. And all the Yankees fans, ironically, because they had Alex Rodriguez on their team for the vast majority of his career, but we're doing
Andy Pettit,
Jason Giambi.
Yeah, they've had all these guys used
like all these steroid users. So they're doing the steroid chant, and Tatis is literally just pretending to be a conductor and like doing this and trolling them. So that was pretty funny.
He did the same thing to Cubs fans in the bleachers when he was here, right?
Oh yeah, he did.
He danced.
He danced.
Yeah. So good on Tatis. Bad that he used PEDs. I think it came out that he was trying to come back from injury, not trying to boost his performance.
Sure.
Right. But
dude, hey, listen, baseball fans or any sports fans, if you don't think that your athlete isn't on something, he's on something. You don't perform at that high of a level in these violent sports and not have your body.
Oops, I accidentally took this thing that will give me super strength. Oh my God, what a horrible mistake.
In modern sports, if nobody took steroids, they'd all be retired by 28. I'm sorry. That's just how it is, okay? They're on something. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man. Anyway, after that brief tangent of Fernando Tatis stuff. Nick has prepared some Blackhawks coverage. We'll dig into that a little bit, just going over draft choices, what they should do in the offseason, etc. Don't really have anything.
I'm not going to add anything except for smiling at him like, yeah, good job. Good handle.
Yeah, don't have too much on the Bulls because, season's over. Bears OTAs just started, so not anything crazy coming out of there. Just, the brief clips of Justin Fields passing to DJ Moore to get everybody excited.
Yeah, well, we're Super Bowl bound, so get ready.
Obviously. So, Nick, I'll let you start digging in on Hawk stuff and take it away.
Yeah. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start digging into the Blackhawks offseason a little bit. We got a bit of time until the draft and free agency. So this week, I really wanted to look at, because the Hawks have 6 draft picks in the first 2 rounds. That's a lot of picks. And, people have been wondering, do the Hawks maybe trade up for another prospect earlier in the first round? Would that be a good idea? What are teams that we can trade with? I think if the Hawks are trading up in the first round, they should use those picks. This is where the Hawks getting Bedard kind of changes maybe what Kyle Davidson wanted to do in the offseason. Because if you're getting a guy, if you're picking 3 or 2 or 3, and you were picking a guy who was like a year or 2 out, then you could be like, okay, we can trade up. We can get 2 of these guys. But now that Bedard is going to be in the NHL day 1, you need to get like somebody on his line. You need to get an established NHL, maybe not a star, but like an established NHL player that will get you points and help develop Bedard at the NHL level. So if the Hawks are trading up, it should be to get one of those players, maybe hold a team up against a cap, hold their feet to the fire a little bit. The one exception, this is a really interesting exception. This is the main reason I wanted to do this, because this is the biggest story in the NHL draft coming up, if you haven't followed it, other than Bedard, obviously. But it's about Matvei Michkov. So he's a 17-year-old Russian. He's playing in the KHL. So he's playing in a man's league. And he's 17 years old, playing against grown men in the Russian winter. Basically, what makes him so interesting as a prospect is because if he was coming into the NHL next year, he would no doubt be number 2. No doubt number 2. And it maybe be like not much of a conversation, but a little bit of a conversation as to whether or not maybe some team might prefer him to Bedard. Now, probably not. Bedard is, obviously one of the best prospects since McDavid, but Michkov's up there. That's the level of prospect we're talking about. There's 2 reasons he's probably not going to, and may even fall further than that. The first is he signed an extension with his KHL team that goes through 2025-2026 season. So you're not getting him for 3 years if he decides to make the jump after that. And the other thing, as I mentioned, he is a Russian playing in Russia, and we're not qualified to talk about the geopolitics of that area, really, but considering the uncertainty going on over there, it might be a question as to whether or not you get him at all. So like taking him that high in the draft is a gamble, but the talent is undeniable. He's a high-level playmaker, elite hockey IQ and puck skills. He's just really good at putting the puck in the net. Among forwards from the KHL in their NHL draft year, he has the highest points per game. That's ahead of guys like Vladimir Tarasenko, Panarin, Kuznetsov, Kucherov. Comparing him to Alex Ovechkin, Michkov has 9 goals in 30 games. Ovechkin had 13 in 53. Hang on, I think I have the points per game reversed. But Michkov has 0.67 points per game in his draft year. Ovechkin had 0.45. So this is the level of prospect we're talking about. And yeah, you wouldn't be getting him for 3 years, but in Kyle Davidson's end of season press conference, he was kind of asked, because we didn't know we were getting Bedard at that point. He was asked sort of if there were any players off the board. And he said, as we sit right now, we've got a full board. We're not taking anyone off. We're looking for the best players. We can't pass up on talent. I was of the belief that if the Hawks were like 3, I think they would have taken Michkov. And I don't know how likely it is, but I think if Michkov falls to like 6, 7, 8, something like that, and the Hawks can swing a trade for him, they're going to do it, because the upside to that is you have in 3 years, he and Bedard on the same line. That's on the level of like Crosby and Ovechkin together on the same line. And I want it.
Even I know that's good. So like,
but
Mr. Zero Hockey IQ does in fact.
I'll watch that game.
Well, the Blackhawks are sitting at 19 with their second first-round pick.
Yeah, that's
so.
Yep.
That would have to be quite a jump. Like you said, I got 4 second-round picks, and I mean, if we're just playing the odds here, not every single one of those second-round picks is going to pan out. So if you can move, 1 or 2 of those second-round picks to get up and get a prospect like that, like I'm all for playing the long play at this point because Bedard, you know what you're getting out of him. You know he's a sure thing prospect. Why not take a swing for the fences there if you're in that situation? So I think I love the idea of, you're guaranteed getting this all-time prospect here. Why not take another swing for the fences and play the long game?
And you could even kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You don't have to use all those picks. You can trade up. Maybe you don't have to give up all those second-round picks that you have, but you can, they like a team like Washington, they're picking at 8. They just have, they have just like $7 million in cap space, so they don't have a ton of flexibility. Sorry, Jordan Teige put something in the chat and it distracted me. So Washington needs to clear some cap space. Maybe a guy like Teige Oshie. He had 19 goals, 16 assists last year. He's making $5.75 million. He is 36. So, he's okay. Here's the thing. He is 36. It is a lot of money going to somebody whose best days are most certainly behind him. And he's probably not going to age gracefully, but you have an established NHL player that you can.
Well, you're really selling it, Nick.
Right into Bedard's line. And the Hawks have a ton of cap space. Like they had 2 $10 million contracts come off the books just now. They have to hit the cap floor somehow. They're going to overpay for somebody in free agency, but that would be a way to get someone, even like Evgeny Kuznetsov. I don't know how likely that is, but he's making $7.8 million over the next 2 seasons, and he's 30. The team that a lot of Blackhawks fans want to trade with is Vancouver at pick 11. And I know my buddy Riddle, who's a Canucks fan, is going to hate this because he does not like the Blackhawks. And I'm going to talk about a player that he really loves, and that is Brock Besser. He's got this shirt that is just all Brock Besser's face. But
sounds like something he would do.
Yeah. But
sounds like all the more reason to send him to Chicago.
But Besser is 26. He's making $6.65 million. He had 18 goals and 37 assists last year. So like you're getting a young player, a young established NHL player that can go right on Bedard's line. Connor Garland's another option. He's 27. He's making 4.95 over the next 3, 17 goals, 29 assists. So Kyle Davidson has a lot of flexibility here. He has a lot of picks he can weaponize, and he has a lot of cap space that he can weaponize. Like, remember back in 2015, we had to trade Patrick Sharp for pennies on the dollar, and we had to give up, it was Steven Johns, who at the time was our top D prospect, just to get his contract off the book so we could pay a team. Basically, we can do that now. We have the flexibility to do that now. So it's going to be a very interesting offseason. So
yeah,
go ahead, Jordan.
So I admittedly, I know a lot about what's going on with the Blackhawks. I don't usually follow what's going on with the rest of the league. But while you were talking, Nick, I pulled up the list of unrestricted free agents for the 23-24 season. There are some big names on here. Big names. I mean, obviously, Kane and Taves, I don't think there's any chance of us signing them.
No,
Tarasenko is an unrestricted free agent. Again, a little older. Max Pacioretty, unrestricted free agent. Milan Lucic, again, a little older.
I feel like a lot of the older guys, though. I feel like those guys they're going to want to go to a contender. I think they're maybe going to look for one more,
unless they're going to overpay them.
Matthew Dumba,
which they could do. I think. I think the Hawks. I think it's pretty likely that they try to bring back Max Domi. He was on the team last year. They traded him to, I believe it was Dallas at the deadline. I think a lot of Hawks fans would be happy having him back. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
One of the things that I like about the names that you brought up, Nick, was that all the contracts you mentioned, they're all short term.
Right.
So why that's a good thing is that it doesn't mess up their long term flexibility in terms of making moves around this roster, and they still got a boatload of draft picks in the future.
That's why it makes a ton of sense. Those contracts come off the book just in time to give Bedard a mega deal, which Kyle Davidson knows he's going to have to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think if Bedard's career pans out the way we think it will, if he either does not remain a
Stanley Cups.
Blackhawk his entire career, or if his career doesn't end the way it did with or his time with the Blackhawks end the way it did with Tane and Caves, where it's kind of just like,
Tane and
okay,
Caves.
you're Kane and Taves. Sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, I've done
where
that
it's-
before. I've done that before.
where but if his career doesn't end with the team the way theirs did, just kind of look, we get it. You guys are getting older. You want to contend. We're not going to be there. Let's let you go off and pursue an actual cup run to finish out your career. That's a failure on the Blackhawks front office, 100%. Unless there's something crazy that happens, like he has an injury or something off the ice happens where we, can't keep him. He should be a Blackhawk for life.
I think the fear is that they end up being what Edmonton is now with McDavid and Draisaitl, and they just can't win anything despite having like two of the best players in hockey, the best player in hockey, and another at least top 5.
Well, that's why I'm all for playing the long-term game with this too. And I know it's exciting to think about. You're getting Bedard in the building. You want to win now with the talent.
They're not going to win now.
But they're not. That's the thing. They're not going to win now. So
they're going to be in the lottery mix next year again.
Right. And so while it would be nice to add some veteran players to the roster, guys that can play to kind of help steer along the rebuild a little bit, get it moving forward. I think the long-term play is probably the best, and you got to take swings at guys with upside. I think that's probably the most important thing to do.
The priority next year is developing Bedard at the NHL level, and that means getting somebody on. Like I said, that means getting an established forward or a center on his line, because I think they want him to play center. They might try him at wing if that doesn't work out, but I think they want to start him at center and see where that goes.
I think he's going to need to put on some size in order to play center at the NHL level. But
which, I mean, he's still a child. So
well, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Like I know he literally could have a growth spurt and gain 6 inches in the next 2 years. It's literally possible. But
get him whenever Mike Trout is on. He'll be
I mean,
have him call up Tatis.
Yeah. Well, that was for ringworm. Thank you.
I don't know. I think getting him to play center in his first year in the league might be a little rough. So like I kind of like your idea, and I didn't really think about it that way when you started, but get some older veterans, some guys that might find some trouble landing in a contender, but that are solid players, short-term deals, a year or two, get the rebuild going and have them freed up off the books for the time when you need to extend the guys in the draft. Because what is it? We have 4 first and second round picks this year and 6 next year.
No, 6 this year. It's 2 firsts and 4 seconds.
I mean, that's where the talent is.
The future too.
Kyle Davidson has picks for days.
Right. Oh, yeah. So, now is the time. Get some solid veterans. Spend some money if you have to get the rebuild going. But 2-3 years down the road, which Kyle Davidson has come out and said that is the expectation. So, circling back to the Cubs for a second, they have warned us that it is going to be a rough go for a couple of years here while they get it all sorted out. But a couple of years down the road, 3 years down the road, I think we should be contending at least for conference championships, if not the Cup.
But the worst thing they can do is to get overzealous with spending on long-term deals. They all have to be short-term.
Couldn't agree more.
It has to be short-term. And look at the Bears, what they did this past year. All the moves that they made were short-term signings because they knew they weren't going to be good last year. And it paid off this offseason because they had more resources to work with. That's kind of the mindset they have to go through, right? Yep. Bring in guys that can come in and help contribute, but you can't be sinking any money into 5-6 year contracts. That's the
no Seth Jones deals.
Exactly.
No, don't do it.
Stan Bowman's not in the front office anymore, so I don't think we need to worry about that.
Thank God for that. It was time for a multitude of reasons that we're not going to go into right now.
It's a family show, guys.
Yeah. Nick, do you have anything else you want to add, or should we move on to our 4 stars? And
I think we can move on for now. We'll continue our Blackhawks coverage up to the draft and up to free agency and all that. So yeah.
And I will continue to learn.
Yes, you will. That's all we ask. That's all we ask of you.
We're gonna turn you into a Hawks fan before the season starts.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be the biggest hockey nerd you know.
It'll happen. All right. So like we mentioned, nothing really to cover on the Bulls. Bears are Super Bowl bound after the OTAs footage has come out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So moving on to our 4 stars of the week. How do we want to do this?
We're gonna level with you guys for a second here. This was a rough week.
This was a very rough week.
We could not find 4 people worthy of getting a star. Like even as jokes. Like usually we can get like at least one joke one in there. We had nothing this week.
We were defeated.
Andrew, I'm going to have you do the one you added right before showtime.
Yeah, it's been pretty barren, guys. So a couple, I think it was either last episode or 2 episodes ago, Justin Fields, we talked about him graduating from Ohio State. We have another Bears player that got his college degree, Cole Kmet, graduating from Notre Dame. I don't know if it was this week or 2 weeks ago, but we didn't mention it. We should mention it now. So congratulations to Cole Kmet for that. And another thing to mention, new president for the Bears, Kevin Warren, was there for the graduation. So another cool little detail about the new president, who is being the complete opposite of Ted Phillips so far. So that is a win for the Bears right there. So maybe Kevin Warren should be another star of the week if you want to count him as like a half star.
Oh, I am going to throw a star. Sorry, this is last minute. I'm going to throw a star in here. Village of Arlington Heights or City of Arlington Heights. I can't remember if it's a village or city, but Arlington Heights, Illinois. The Bears got permission to go ahead and start demolishing the current structures at the Arlington Racecourse. So moving still forward with the new stadium projections and everything. So I'm going to throw a star their way as well.
And the last 2 go to Marcus Stroman for being the highlight for obvious reasons.
We were gonna give him all 4 initially. People. Like,
these guys are holding out on us.
Yeah. Marcus Stroman, like I mentioned, top of the charts in the NL for WHIP and ERA, most quality starts in then all of Major League Baseball right now. So having a hell of a year.
And Jed, he wants to stay, and if you don't sign him, that's
oh my God, yeah,
criminal. You don't extend him, even for
Marcus Stroman is not a Cub next year. Like Jed should just be fired on the spot.
100%.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't aware, there have been numerous articles that have come out in the last couple of weeks of Stroman mentioning that he loves the city, he loves the team, he loves the culture. He wants to be a Cub. He understands that it's a business and that things happen and that it might not be a great fit for the team. It is a great fit for the team. He's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball right now. If you let him walk out, burn down Wrigley Field. Not actually, that is not a legitimate threat of arson. He's just going on the internet. But
he doesn't mean that. He doesn't mean that.
I don't actually mean that.
Jordan, you've ruined the Cubs. You've ruined the Cubs audience for us. Down a federal landmark.
But Jordan even said he's not good for the team, but he is. Like literally,
that's what I mean.
You have you're a ground ball pitcher on one of the best ground ball defenses up the middle, at least, that we're gonna see for the next 4 to 5 years, man. Like what? Yeah, the perfect fit.
There is no reason that Marcus Stroman should not be a Cub for basically the rest of his career at this point, because he's also a little bit older. But just wanted to, since it got brought up, wanted to dig into that a little bit. So yeah, Marcus Stroman wants to stay with the Cubs. As fans, we want Marcus Stroman to stay with the Cubs. So I guess we'll see if extension talks happen there. Do we have an order that we want to do our 180s in this week, guys?
Yeah, we didn't talk about this.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
Discussing on air.
How the sausage is made.
So, Teige, I'm going to have Andrew, since you don't have notes in, I'm going to make you go first.
Oh,
I'll go second. Teige, you go third, and then we'll have Nick go last.
All right, great.
All right, I guess I'll get us going then. So for my complete 180, I want to talk about the movie landscape, specifically Marvel movies. I know they haven't really been in the news for a while because Phase 4 has just been a constant kick to the groin for a lot of superhero movie fans. But with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in theaters right now, I haven't had a chance to go see it, but it's given me an opportunity to go back and watch a lot of the Phase 1, 2, and 3 movies over the past few weeks to kind of like prepare myself for it when I do eventually go watch it. And it got me thinking about ranking these movies for my best movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the worst movies, because yes, there are some bad movies, especially recently. They've been really bad recently. So I'll start with the positives here, and I'll rank my best 5 movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Some honorable mentions: Captain America: Winter Soldier. I really like that movie. Thor Ragnarok. That's the only good Thor movie. I'm just being real with y'all here. The other ones suck. And then the first Avengers, like it's corny as heck, but it's probably the most impactful blockbuster of the last 20 years. So
Okay, wait, time out. Did you say the first Avengers or the first Avenger, like the Captain America?
The first Avengers movie.
Okay,
so
the
original
full
Avengers movie,
Got it.
not Captain
Okay,
America. Yeah,
wanted
we're
to-
on the same page.
Cool.
So number 5 is going to be Spider-Man: Homecoming, the first Spider-Man movie in the MCU with Tom Holland. Just a really solid movie all around. You got a great villain played by Michael Keaton, the Vulture, one of the best twists in the entire MCU with that entire thing. And I just love the whole high school comedy vibe they had going on. Just all around solid movie. Number 4, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Just an instant classic. Really sold all Marvel fans on the weird space aspect of the universe. And it really paid off. Like the reason why Thor Ragnarok happened was because of Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's one of the best, I think, comic book movies that come out in years. And I had a lot of fun watching that a couple days ago, and I went back and saw it. Number 3, Avengers Endgame. Just not a perfect conclusion to the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the first 3 phases, but a really damn satisfying one. Had a lot of great, exciting moments. And the fact that they made that movie a time heist for most of it. And then you have the great, superhero throwdown at the end of it. So great movie there. Number 2, Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Yes.
Nick and I went and saw that in theaters.
Yes.
That's
when
number
that
1.
first came out.
That's number 1 for me.
That's my number 1.
I understand. But I get it that it's just fan service, the movie, but it's fan service done well. And so I just really love that movie. And the number 1 is Avengers Infinity War. I mean, the fact that it just broke the Marvel formula by the villain actually winning, and spoiler alert, the villain wins for those who haven't seen it. But I mean, that's probably the most impactful sequences of any Marvel film, if not the most impactful. So I really love Infinity War from start to finish. Let's get to the bad movies now.
Wait, real quick.
Real
quick.
Go ahead.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Oh no.
Don't make fun of that. That made me cry in the theater, dude.
That still
Yeah,
makes me
dude.
cry. I watched that every time I watch that movie. I
Yep.
cry at that scene.
Yep, absolutely. But speaking of crying, let's cry the bad movies here.
Great segue. I love it.
Honorable mentions for the worst movies in the MCU. Pretty much all the Thor movies, besides the one I'm going to talk about here. And let's just get right into it. Number 5, Thor: The Dark World. I mean, we all know that this is one of the worst MCU movies. Like, it was memed on the day it came out that this was just mediocrity, the movie. Just nothing interesting about this. Like, who is the villain in that movie? I don't even remember at this point. It's really bad. Number 4, Captain Marvel. There's just nothing like memorable about the movie.
It's so not memorable.
Sexist.
I forgot it even existed,
Right.
to be honest.
The only reason it did as well as it did is because it came right in between both of the last 2 Avengers movies. That's the only reason it was successful from a money standpoint. And it ruined Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury with just the most ridiculous. Shut up, Nick. Nick just posted something in the chat that I will not repeat here.
I said he hates women.
Completely
He does not,
untrue.
for the record.
For the
He does
record,
not.
that is completely untrue. Number 3, The Incredible Hulk, the only Marvel Cinematic Universe movie not made by Marvel Studios, or not made by Disney, I think. It was made by Paramount, I think. It was
Edward Norton.
Yeah, it was
Edward
so
Norton.
forgettable that they replaced Edward Norton for Mark Ruffalo, and nobody even cares because it's
I
that
didn't-
forgettable.
I didn't even know. I didn't even
I
know
didn't even
that
realize
was
that was
an
part-
MCU
that was
until I
technically
watched
part.
it. Like,
Yep.
yeah, like 4 years ago.
Like Marvel did everything they could to make us forget that he was even a movie that was made. For like up until like the last couple movies where they've made some references to it. Number 2, Black Widow. This is the first movie of Phase 4. Just wrong movie, wrong time, and it was a bad movie on top of it. Just I saw it in theaters, and it was just cringe the entire time. Just
You tell me you don't like Florence Pugh's Russian
Okay.
accent.
Florence, the only reason I will watch that movie is because of Florence Pugh, I will say. Number one for me, though, Eternals. You talk about a bore fest.
I didn't watch that one.
Oh my God, it is. Don't watch it. Like, just I'm saving you 2.5 hours, dude. Don't watch
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah. And they haven't referenced anything else from that movie in the rest of the MCU, and so clearly Marvel is trying to get everyone else to forget about it at this point. It's just, yeah, it put me to sleep. And I rarely fall asleep during these movies. It put me to sleep. It was bad. So those are my best and worst MCU movies.
That's a respectable list.
Yeah, I haven't seen many of the like the post Endgame movies other than the Spider-Man one, but
Yep.
it doesn't bode well that the two of the worst ones are post Endgame movies.
And there are a couple others that I could have put on there,
Yeah.
but
It's
there were a couple of
it ain't great.
The, ones
The new
I
Ant-Man wasn't great. The new
I
Doctor
should have
Strange
mentioned
wasn't great.
I should have mentioned it in my dishonorable mentions. All the Ant-Man movies I don't like.
I like
Really?
the
First
first.
one's
I thought
fine.
the first one was good.
Yeah,
Ant-Man and the
first one is
Wasp is
fine.
boring as hell. I do not like that movie.
Yeah, first one is fine. 2, though, I haven't seen Quantum Mania, but from what I'm
Nah,
hearing,
dude.
I've heard it's not very
Don't
good.
waste your 2 hour, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Again.
And apparently, Majors isn't even going to be Peter Parker anymore because of some of his issues going on. But we're not going to get into
Yeah,
that.
this is shaping up to be a fun show.
Well, funny enough, Andrew, your Marvel movie list is a fairly decent segue into my 180 this week because I'm going to talk about the other major Disney acquisition, Star Wars. So I saw it came out in the news this week that Temuera Morrison is going to be playing Boba Fett in the Ahsoka show that's coming out. And I'm like, well, duh, you know? So I just want to talk about how excellent a career move Temuera Morrison deciding to play Jango Fett all the way back in Attack of the Clones was. And you're going to get a brief Star Wars history lesson here for those of you that aren't aware. All of us are huge Star Wars nerds in this podcast as well. Andrew, I can't remember if you participated, but I know Nick and Teige, we marathoned the first 6 Star Wars movies before we went and saw Episode 7 come out in theaters.
I don't think I had the pleasure. I don't. I was there for the Batman movie marathon. That was a good one.
That was great.
That was great. I was so sick for that. I got Nick sick. I got Nick like that.
You did get me sick.
That was fun.
My basement was a petri dish.
But anyway, so Temuera Morrison is, I believe, from New Zealand, a great actor. But the way Star Wars works, so you have Jango Fett. He was a Mandalorian bounty hunter, and he got killed in Attack of the Clones. Spoiler alert, that from like 2003. But every single clone trooper was cloned off of him. So anytime there's, other than Clone Force 99, which is the Bad Batch for those of you that do follow it, any other just like regular clone. Oh, I'm going to have to go back in a minute. Any other regular clone is voiced by Temuera Morrison. I do need to redact myself. He's not playing Boba Fett. He's playing Rex in the Ahsoka show. That's what it is. So every clone is him. Then there is Boba Fett, who is Jango Fett's son, but is also a clone. It was just his DNA was changed so that he'd age at a normal rate and Jango could have a son. So obviously in Attack of the Clones, Boba Fett was not played by Temuera Morrison because he was an adult, but you know, he grows up. Now Temuera Morrison gets to be Boba Fett in the Boba Fett show, in The Mandalorian, all this stuff. Then, like I said, they're coming out with the Ahsoka show, and Rex is going to be played by Temuera Morrison because he is a clone of Jango Fett. So this is the ultimate career move. This guy has made a career for 20 years off of basically playing the exact same character. And it's just guaranteed work forever, as long as clones or, you know, a variation of clones are brought up in the Star Wars universe. This man will have a job. So shout out to Temuera Morrison. That was an excellent career choice 20 years ago because you have work for life. So
I just want to point out how it was hilarious when he first showed up in Mandalorian season 2. How you could tell Disney was doing everything they could to hide the fact that he had a massive beer gut going on. Not shaming them here, but they were clearly going.
Yeah.
They were clearly going out of their way to.
We're pro beer gut on this podcast.
We are
Very
pro
pro
beer
beer
gut. I'm just saying it's funny that they were clearly making it obvious that they were trying to hide his physique.
Speaking of pro beer gut, if there are any Chicago brewing companies that would like to sponsor us and have us drink your product while we are recording, more than game. Let us know. We're here for it.
Jordan, that's more of a conversation for off the podcast, but
We've already discussed it.
Yeah.
When they're looking up
name
Shohei
anybody.
Ohtani.
When they look up Shohei Ohtani.
Hey, I didn't name any companies, so we can't get in trouble for that. I'm just saying if anybody has connections with any Chicago breweries.
But now we just
All
admit
right.
it. We'll sponsor
the
any
show.
brewery no matter what.
I mean, fair. But we'd like to keep it Chicago themed. Anyway, moving along. Teige, I believe it is your turn for your complete 180.
Yeah. So my complete 180, I wanted to give a shout out to California because I've been living out in California for quite a few years now. And so this is my sort of open letter to California. Dear California, I just want you to know how much I love you. All right. We've done a lot together. I lived here for over 4 years. I met my beautiful wife in this state. I got married in this state. We found our beautiful cat Birdie in this state. California, you're beautiful. And I wouldn't be surprised if I spend the rest of my life out here. Now, that being said, there's a few things I dislike. Gas prices, for one. The traffic here, pretty bad. But California, there is one thing that I just cannot stand. Stop overhyping In-N-Out Burger. You know what? I'm going to go off this. I'm going to go off the letter. I'm going to go off the letter script right now, actually, for a minute. I've been in In-N-Out Burger twice, friends, and both times were awful experiences. First of all, who are you psychopaths that keep going? Okay, I don't know how there's a line of like 50 plus cars just hanging out and like getting onto the highway and blocking me from driving, but it's not that good. All right. First of all, the whole fries, salt y'all and fries thing, stupid. Hate it. Second, their burgers, stupid. I don't like them. They don't taste good. All right. The first time I went with this girl that she was like, this is the California burger. And I was like, all right, I'm down. And it was awful. The second time I went was with a friend who was like, oh, I got you, bro. You got the wrong thing. You had to go get the animal fries. I got the animal fries. They're awful. Okay? I don't care.
You shut your mouth.
You can't keep making a secret sauce restaurant, no matter how many times you make Thousand Island dressing and just slap it on and call it a secret sauce. It doesn't make it any better. Okay? And that goes for any restaurant ever. Stop calling Thousand Island dressing your secret sauce. It's not. We know what it is. I have taste buds. Christ. Okay. The ketchup there is bad too. The not so secret menu is stupid. Okay. Stop going In-N-Out Burger. Stop giving your money to it. I'm sick and tired of hearing Californians being like, it's the greatest burger I've ever had in my life. It's not. Okay. Go somewhere else. Now, Texas, you're next. All right. I'm going to Texas soon. And I keep hearing, oh, Whataburger versus In-N-Out. If I go to Whataburger and these burgers suck too, I'm writing some letters. Okay, because I don't know who you crazy people are that are going to all these restaurants. I'm sick of it.
It's not worth it.
Go get some food from somewhere else. Go to Chicago. You know, I hear people always talk trash on our pizza. Well, it's better than anything you've ever made out here in terms of burgers. I went on a tangent. There was more to the letter. I went off script. Stop going In-N-Out Burger. I'm never going there ever again.
Look, us Chicagoans, well, I can't say we're Chicagoans because we're in suburbs, but Chicagoland area, we have high standards for our food, guys.
Chicago is one of the best places for food in the country.
Right.
I don't
We have
care
high
what
standards.
anybody says. It is fact.
That's number one.
However, Teige, I will warn you, I literally had – so Arizona is kind of nice and in the middle of all of these things, so we get a little bit of everything. Like I have Portillo's, I have Lou Malnati's, I have Culver's, but I also have Whataburger and In-N-Out here. So I just get kind of this melting pot of everything. I literally had Whataburger for the first time yesterday. Good, not great. You're not going to be impressed. It's another burger. They have a secret sauce that I think is just mayonnaise. So you're going to be disappointed. However, market – I am going to do a defensive In-N-Out Burger for my 180.
No, you can't. That's a problem. You can't do a defensive.
Oh, no. I'm doing it.
You're planning that? Okay. All right. So that's a preview for next week.
I'm doing
it. Okay. So we're not getting a sponsorship from Whataburger because of Jordan. We're not getting one from In-N-Out because of Teige.
I don't want one.
Apparently, we're going to get sponsored from any beer company out there now because Jordan has made it pretty clear that he wants us to have that.
All right.
Hey,
All right, Nick.
In the words of a very famous song, beer is good.
And stuff. All right, my turn.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what I had prepared last week before my microphone rudely decided to cut me off. I don't know why it didn't want this on the air. So the week before last, I discussed my proposed alternative to the NHL draft lottery, the Chubbs Peterson Memorial Draft Tournament, and the reactions to that seem pretty positive. So this week I decided to take a crack at fixing the NBA draft lottery. And to be honest, it was tough. I tried, but I couldn't think of anything as creative or as fun as the Chubbs tournament. It was just too difficult to top. So for my proposal to fix the NBA draft system, I decided not to reinvent the wheel. That's right. I'm proposing the NBA immediately institute the Jackie Moon Memorial Draft Tournament. On basic principles, this is going to work the same as the Chubbs tournament. If you want more detail on that, by the way, we have a clip of it on YouTube. I believe it was episode this is 7. I think we did it episode 5 at the end of that one if you want to listen to it. But basically how it works is every team that missed the playoffs sends one player to fight in a single elimination tournament. Results of that tournament determine the draft order. However, because we're doing this for NBA players, we got to make a few tweaks to both maximize the entertainment value and incentivize the players and the league to want to get on board. So first, these fights are just going to have standard boxing rules. Obviously, we can't put them on skates. They're going to have 3 2-minute rounds. We'll still have the higher seeds start with like a points advantage, so the worst teams still have the best odds, but we're going to do this in a ring. Additionally, we're going to be awarding points based on how awesome the fighter's entrance is. Like, I want full pageantry, pyro. If you want a freestyle rap, do it. I don't care. Just get the crowd pumped. Second, we're not going to do this as a one-night event like we were the Chubbs tournament. The matches are going to take place at halftime at WNBA games. Imagine a sold-out crowd at a Phoenix Mercury LA Sparks game. 2 teams I had to look up the names of to be able to watch the fight. You want eyes on the WNBA? This is, in all likelihood, the only way you're going to be able to do it. And third, in addition to their team getting the top pick and a hefty cash prize, the player that wins the tournament also gets 1 3-minute round in the ring with the NBA referee of their choosing. You think Chris Paul wouldn't put together a full-on Rocky training montage for an opportunity to get to beat the crap out of Scott Foster?
He would.
And this has the added. How it goes with Jimmy Butler tonight. He might want it more.
And this has the added benefit of maybe forcing referees to be a bit better over the course of the season, so they don't get their face punched in at the end of it. So yeah, there it is. Jackie Moon Memorial Draft Tournament. I know he didn't die in the movie, but we're still calling it a memorial because he is a legend.
So are they not fighting bears?
Oh my God. That's a great idea.
Oh, I might just add something for you there.
We gotta.
You might have to go back to the workshop and read.
All right, yeah, I got to workshop this a little bit,
yeah.
But yeah, that's actually a solid idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Just so next week is 180 is going to be the updated.
Half the channel's views are going to be Nick's like fixing these drafts and my Shohei Ohtani.
I'm going to work my way. I'm going to be a commissioner for one of these leagues one day.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to get super fun.
Shockingly, my NASCAR video has 45 views. I did not think that would happen, but it did. So I'm going to roll with it. All right. Man, that episode went from us being just super pissed off to quickly devolving into just pure shenanigans.
We like to end on a high note.
Yeah, it was definitely a high note.
We have some very good clips.
I mean, when doesn't our podcast devolve into shenanigans, though?
This is true. Next person that says shenanigans. Anyway, got to leave the audience laughing. We'll get wrapped up here. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at 4StarPodShy. This will be the last time I say CHI like Chicago. I think after this point, you'll probably be able to figure it out. Nick is at Endicola21. Teige is at TMMullen007. Both have been posting some pretty funny stuff on Twitter. Nick, I think, is still winning that battle, but Teige's giving him a run for his money. And as always, Andrew Freeman is at AJFreeman25. You can check out his other work for the Baylor Report at 247sports.com and the Picks for Polls podcast. If you're checking us out on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and share as well. We always appreciate that. Spotify or other podcast listeners, make sure you share as well. And thanks again for watching. Hopefully we'll have some more good stuff to talk about next week. Good as in like positive. We always have good stuff to talk about.
And check out the website.
Check out the website.
4starpodchi.com. We have one blog up there. Teige wrote a nice article about critiquing wins above replacement as a baseball stat. So if you want to get real down and dirty with the nerdy analytics, Teige's the man.
And if you want somebody who actually like has way more in depth, Tom Sango on Twitter. Literally today, I noticed on Twitter he posted his own blog where he has a 22-part series about war. so I like read it and I was like,
Well, either way, check out our website because Teige's awesome and we're awesome. But either way, I think you'll be able to find out just exactly what war is good for. Thanks again for watching.
We're definitely not getting any sponsors.
We'll be back ranting and raving again next week. Take it easy, guys.